In nomine dinastri Satanae Luciferi excelsi, in nomine Domini Spiritus Mundi est, Luciferi, in domus di orem et ausium, momento mori, in nomine Ordo novus seclorum, in nomine Satanae. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to talk about things that I normally would not get into, at least often. It's more like a blue moon type of thing. Last time I talked about anything of the world was back when Trump was running for president. And ironically, he's running it exactly the way I predicted, which is hilarious. But, and I'll get into that in just a few minutes. But this is some satanic thoughts that I think need to be heard and things that need to be said. And if I have to be the bad guy, then guess what? I don't really give a shit. Um, but it's things that really does need to be put across and things that need to be expressed. So here it is. The Corvis-19 virus is just another form of flu. Okay? Although it is true that it has been proven that it originated in China. It's truth. It originally was dealing with animals. Okay? This is facts that have already been proven. Now, people today, even though it's swept the world, okay, it seems like a lot of people want to use it as an excuse to get shit done in one form or another, either for money, either for power, either for, say, for an example, let's go with population control. Okay. Over the last few years, we've seen a lot of companies rising and falling very, very quickly. We know that this whole pandemic, as they're calling it, was predicted by Sylvia Brown in her book, End of Days. Okay. We also know that it is a pneumonia type influenza. Okay. Which means that it attacks the lungs. Your lungs fill up with fluid. It's like having asthma. Okay. Where your oxygen is depleted. It is basically like a python, boa constrictor, or anaconda wrapping itself around you, squeezing the air from your lungs. And it attacks specifically the bronchial tubes. Okay? This is fact. Over the last couple of weeks, in general, for those of you who are actually paying attention to details, there's been a lot of people wanting to do magical workings, rituals, calling on the gods of destruction, plagues, famine, whatever, to try to control it, to gain control over it. You have people literally using it as an excuse to get money, like the CDC, for an example, just to name one. Another one is a guy that is utilizing the Corvis-19 as an excuse to gain money because he lost his leg. Okay. And the title of the article, by the way, for those of you who want to look it up, is called Corbett, I lost my leg due to complications to Corvis-19. Okay. That is actually stupid. Okay. And this is why. As I just told you, it affects the lungs, not the limbs. Okay. Although oxygen deprivation could weaken the body, make you feel tired, exhausted, even, but it would not have any form of complication to the limbs like losing a leg. Not like, say, diabetes. Okay. Diabetes, if you had it, you would lose your leg or a limb little by little, depending on which stage of diabetes you have. Okay. So again, we're looking at details here. You've seen where the CDC is now stating on Google that in reports that there's a second wave coming. A second wave. Okay. Now, everything we've seen so far dealing with this virus has been exactly the way that Sylvia Brown has predicted it. The exact way. It appeared out of the blue. It swept the world in a pandemic type state. It deals with the bronchial tubes, the lungs, and affects the lungs in a pneumonia type method. She also said, as quickly as it appears, it will also disappear just as quick and reappear 10 years later. 10 years. And then disappear for good. Now, this was a heads up. This is what you call a premonition. Okay. This is literally a heads up. So they had at least a decade, if not more, to prepare for this virus, knowing exactly where it comes from, because she already told you where it comes from. Literally, of where it comes from and what it does. And here we are, 2020, third month of this bullshit, and it's acting the exact same way that she predicted. Now, the CDC and the government, okay, before I get into this aspect, you remember how I opened this, okay? When I said that, when I talked a little bit about Trump and that the way he's running the country is exactly the way I predicted it. So let me tell you why I said that before I get into this next section. Number one, everybody made a big hysteria, hypotensive, dramatic outlook over the polls when he was running against Hillary Clinton for office. Everybody was saying, well, if he gets elected, I'm leaving the country. Well, these same dumbasses are now here talking about this pandemic. These morons are still out there on social media talking the same smack, the same bullshit that they did when he ran for presidency. Same thing with Obama, Bush, Clinton. This goes all the way back. Okay? Everything was so political back then, okay, when he ran for office, that there was nothing more than arguments and drama on social media. So I finally stepped up and I put one thing and one thing only forth on social media. And that was this. He's a successful international conglomerate. Okay. He's a businessman, successful one at that, who is a billionaire, if not a tri-billionaire. Okay. He's a multi-billionaire. Okay. And he will run the country, which was already to begin with on the decline, financially speaking, because of all the stupidity and how it's run by the top brass, I guess you can call it. The only downside to him being president is it would be like the Third Reich. Okay, the Third Reich. So, just like Adolf Hitler, what was his plan? To put a wall around the country. Guess you people forgot about that one, huh? Yeah. He even, like Obama, had the government shut down for about 14 days. Again, 14 days. Over a stalemate of not wanting to negotiate. It was my way or the highway mentality. Okay. He's had how many investigations by the FBI, DOD, Department of Justice, and nobody's found anything? And you can't forget the part where they actually blamed it on Russia and his connection to them over the polls. Yeah. Stupidity. Stupidity, people. Okay. So here we are, yet again, 2020, dealing with this influenza type flu virus. First, it's highly resistant to any form of narcotics. Okay. And yet, in one post by the CDC, states we now understand it. Even Asia, China, is saying, oh, due to all the autopsies, we now understand how it works. We can develop a cure from it. You see, it's that false mentality, that hope that they're putting forth with no actual facts or benefits to back it up. And people are jumping on it. They're hopping on that bandwagon, complying. Every government shutting down their country, including the United States. I can't tell you how many businesses have already gone under just in my region alone because of this shutdown. Just due to this shutdown. And people are like, hey, you're so lucky to still have a job. You're still lucky to have that job, that you're considered a crucial worker. Well, let's look at it this way. They're saying that over 800,000 people have died from this. They're saying that there's vaccines being created for it, that they're now in the works of creating a vaccine against Corvis-19. And yet they're ignoring the fact that it's highly resistant. That even Sylvia Brown herself said and predicted that you will not find it. You will not have a vaccine against it. And then you got morons sitting there claiming that, oh, I lost my legs due to complications of Corvis-19. That's just plain stupidity right there. But hey, Trump got what he wanted, didn't he? The government shut down. Only a certain amount of people are allowed to go into hospitals. Just patients, no family, no friends. Yeah. And even then, you have to have a swab shoved up your nostril to test for something that doesn't exist. Don't you find it interesting that it's also around the same time as the census is going around? It's called human population, people. It's control. They're trying to figure out how many people are in your neck of the woods. That's why it's called a census. More so, don't you find it interesting that even corporations are now putting these glass sheets up, keeping you, even from your own employees, at least 6 feet apart? People are so afraid to even touch, shake hands. It's now against the law to even do this. Now, I'm pretty sure I saw this in a movie even. I believe it was called The Demolition Man. You can't even shake hands, you can't even touch someone else. You have to wear face masks, gloves, and on top of that, a sheet of glass between you and the populace. Hmm. Ironic now that the CDC director is now predicting that second wave. He's trying to predict a second wave. But yet, look at the numbers. You go in and you do your own homework on this. Number one, the numbers don't match up. The death toll is way lower. I'm not joking. It is way lower than what they're saying. It's a fraction. Any virus can be deadly, even the cold, the common cold, if you don't take care of yourself, like drinking plenty of fluids, getting plenty of rest. Even pneumonia or just a chest cold, the flu can be deadly. But people are acting like this is a whole new thing. It's a new generation. You got these people out there, these con men and women, sitting there trying to jump on this bandwagon because they want to be a part of something. We saw this back in the late 80s, early 90s. The Satanic Panic. It's the same exact thing. Any crime was considered an occult crime and placed on Satanism because it was the latest fad, the latest facade, the latest fad, literally a fad. It was that, oh my God, a theft took place. A cemetery got vandalized. Somebody got attacked. Somebody started a fight. Oh my God, a Satanist did it. Don't you people ever learn? You go back throughout history, you're going to see the same thing, the same drama, the same grasp for control. Do we forget about Hitler? Do we forget about what you learned from him back in World War II? What he did, his movements? It wasn't just speech, people. It was action. It was methodical action to gain control over his country. And then eventually most of the world, half the world, just about. Go back even further, you see Napoleon. Go back even further, you see the British expanding throughout Europe. Go back even further, you see Alexander the Great. Go back even further, you see a Roman emperor by the name of Julius Caesar. No matter what country you go into, you're going to see this same facade, this hysteria, this drama, this power struggle. to try to control the populace by any and all means necessary. And people, like sheep, follow. They fall in line because they want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of something because it makes them feel special. They can beat themselves on their chests and say, hey, I was there. I did something about it. I did a ritual trying to control it, to try to get rid of it. Or, oh, I was there to try to put up a wall to prevent stuff like this from happening. Population control. Or the greatest one is a corporate type saying, we're just ahead of the curb. Do you know how many times I've heard this same story over 30 years? 30 years, people. Stuff that was in back in the 80s is now coming back into play today. Even Anton Zander LaVey spoke on this. He spoke on this within the Devil's Notebook. Satan speaks. People don't pay attention. You don't want to learn. You don't want to evolve. You just want to be controlled like sheep, like dogs, like cattle. Wake up and smell the fucking coffee, people. You're being played and manipulated. I've always said, do your own homework. Do your own studies and learn for yourself, not because somebody tells you to. Question everything. Because if you're not allowed to question, then it becomes part of the JCI dogma, where it's my way or the highway mentality. Look at the JCI and how they handle things. You even dare to question, you're shunned. You're considered the bad guy of the devil. Well, like I said, if I have to be the bad guy, so be it. I don't mind being a hermit. But I just thought I'd put this out there. Look at around you, people. Do your own homework. Get online. Do the math. That's why you learned it, right? In school. Think about it. Do your homework. Look at what they're giving you for numbers. And then do your own homework. People are so afraid that most businesses are closed down. Most places are closed down. And here they are trying to keep that going, expanding the end date for another month, another week, another 2 months. Appointments for your children get postponed for another month and then another couple of months. If you have dental work that needs to be done, perhaps even something to do with your own personalized health, it gets postponed and pushed ahead or pushed back again and again and again because of this hysteria, this drama that people like living in. It's not the first time, and it sure as hell will not be the last time until let's just call it the humanity, wakes up and starts questioning. Or did you forget that you, as the people, control the government? Or are you too afraid of the law enforcement? In New York, the National Guard was deployed, and it was said that they were authorized to kill, to shoot. Or did they forget that firing on an American citizen or even spying on American citizens is considered illegal, even in a state of martial law, which martial law has not been put forth yet. But I have no doubt that it will if this keeps up. Think about it. Even through my job, I can tell you that we see anywhere between 5 to 800 people through the drive-through. 5 to 800 people in a day. Ironic, isn't it? So this whole lockdown thing, it's not really working out, is it? So they're trying to get that hysteria going again with now the second wave of coronavirus. Or, oh, complications to coronavirus, I lost my leg. Let's do some more rituals, people. Woo! Wow. Yeah, I'm so impressed. This is why I'm just keeping to myself and staying in my own little world doing what I do as an educator. But then again, the educators are the ones that's considered the bad guys, the outlaws, and the workers of the devil now, isn't it? Look at what happened during the witch trials and the burning times, the dark ages. All those alchemists, all those necromancers and witches burned, they're hung, drowned, imprisoned. Do we learn nothing from Dante's Inferno? Do your own homework, people, and wake up. Or live on your knees like sheep for the remainder of your days. That's all I got to say for now. Have a good one.